the lane boxes, he doesn't really have too many looks, and that could cost them in the long run. There might be a little bit more depth in terms of the opping from hallzerk, and I'm looking to that head to head as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously going to be of the utmost importance here, but we do have that third map waiting on for us here. Hopping into what is going to be our decider here on Ancient, kicking things off here with a third map pistol round. And we're going to see if they can start things off in the right foot here. It is going to be Complexity on the T side there. They're going to come through with a hefty bit of utility, but look at this. What do we got cooked up from Forsaken? Trying to boost themselves on up there. We'll get it eventually, but it's a little too late. The delay in time here has provided a legion of space to aggress forward and already find an opening pick, but not get out of there.
They should be able to get the bomb plant, but man advantage now for Forsaken, and essentially a retake as though they're the T's, are the CTs, rushing their way up onto the bomb site, trying to overwhelm. They're Cxzi with one, and JBA in with the dualies in cave side as well. Just Floppy left up in it, and it's a pistol round conversion for Forsaken. I love that idea for taking mid pressure, not hearing anything donut on that A side, and just barging your way up lane. Elish can only get one, and that trade potential is thick and fast.
Yeah, I thought that was actually going to cost Forsaken a little bit. That delay in the boost, it certainly cost them the opening pick, but I think the overwhelming presence that was provided by Forsaken, quickly rushing on into the action there, gonna pretty easily get that job done in recovery. They didn't really expect those fast flanks to be coming through that quickly. So Complexity, while they do get the bomb plant here, they're going to be going in with another force spy here, of course.
Ooh, 4 Galils out for Complexity, and only 2 smokes at a minute 43 on the clock. Talk about contact-heavy plays here for the T side. Solely relying on that firepower. And perhaps false information with that Deagle spam from JT. How aware are Forsaken of this potential force spy here? Surely they have their wits about them.
Should be coming through with a good bit of anticipation off the back of that bomb plant. Of course, you're expecting that force spy to come through, but still the same confidence is maintained here. JBA taking the forward approach here, finding even more success, but eventually that trade will come through. It's actually Grim to find both kills, keeping his head on a swivel, finding all the frags towards the cave side of things and looking to continue that aggression. There's 2 B players already down. Infinite, he might be arriving just in time here, but still going to have more tough fights to take here as Grim wins another duel. We talked about the Infinite, or the impact that Infinite can bring to the table when it comes to the opening stages here, but Grim can also bring that same energy. I was able to find all 3 of his duels here, but there's still more work to be done here in the clutch.
Nade softens up hallzerk to make their lives a little easier, but there is no molly to basically get him out of this default position. Smoke up for cave, but man, Grim's crosshair placement is just unreal. What a round from the star of Complexity. I mean, we were hoping to get this kind of performance from Grim, and he has just put on an electric performance in this round here. He'll go down right before that bomb explodes, but that 2-for-1 trade potential in that cave, taking down GBA and Stanislaw, and then continuing that performance to just essentially just dry walk out onto the B bomb site is just magical. That's that kind of individual prowess that we were expecting from Complexity to continue on Nuke, but I'm glad that they've found that mental reset button, and we get to see that early doors here on Ancient.
Yeah, I mean, Grim had a great start to the T side of Vertigo, and that was definitely something that I thought was going to continue into Nuke, but there really wasn't that same presence, right? It was JT doing a lot of the heavy lifting on Vertigo as well in that first half, so you actually did miss some of like the consistent pieces that that Complexity rely on those T sides, and that was very evident when it came to that first half on Nuke. But out of the gates, Grim showing that sort of prowess on Ancient has to breathe new life into this T side here. As Flash doesn't really get much done here. They need a Molotov to clear out these angles. It's a pretty devastating crossfire here, and JBA just knocking Grim down. There's your heavy hitter down early.
Definitely a way back in. JBA has been such a solid piece for Forsaken thus far in Cave. Guaranteed a kill round in, round out. I know it's been only 2 rounds. It's been very, very helpful for them to hold on to that part of the map. They actually give a little bit of it away. And Complexity don't actually try to fight for it anymore. They navigate themselves back in a donut, and it's just a presence that they're looking for. And Infinite only has a Deagle Cole.
It's just not enough here. And the lurk out from Elise towards A main is going to provide so much value right there. Silver lining is that they do have some fast flanks formulating a Cxzi and
Save.
Stanislaw going to go for the flanker. Yeah, they're going to save here. They have an even 4v4. But you actually look, and they don't have a single kit to their name here. That's going to make this retake incredibly difficult no matter what happens on this flank here. But as you can see, they're going for it. The CT players have just smoked themselves off, though. This is a bit awkward right now all of a sudden. And maybe that can provide some output there. Stanislaw is going to formulate on that flank, but it's still super trialing here. And the time has ticked far too long for them to actually make this happen. So they'll find a couple of kills right there, but they won't be able to coordinate for a retake.
Yeah, that smoke timing on A main was so awkward. I do understand the idea where you're smoking off A main and making them think that there is no players within that position, but the smoke is just a little bit too early, and they can't get that duel in the back of the bomb site fast enough, and it costs them. Perhaps if they did get that early kill, maybe they get another one onto that boost player, and we have a man advantage to be talking about, but the reason why I say they should essentially save in that situation is your money is in such a terrible position, but you still found a way to hold on to 4 rifles heading into that third round, and perhaps you have a better time going at it again with 4 rifles in the following round. Instead, they're left with 2 rifles, which sure is nice, but might not have enough potency. And I say that, and they still find a way to get an opening pick, Cxzi, through the smoke onto Elige.
Wow. That commitment right there to spamming downrange for Elige is going to cost him. Does a lot of damage onto Wiz, but there's the output out of the rifle initially. I didn't think Cxzi was going to get a second chance at finding that kill, but we'll be able to commit to the bit. That's going to really make the job difficult for Wiz, but he goes down with a headshot. He had 15 HP and still managed to deliver some sort of output right there. Only a USP.
Well, back into the 4v4 as Forsaken actually decide to gamble here into that A bomb site, but there's the utility firing off the signals for Cxzi to rotate, but he doesn't really have an angle in. Traces give away this position. Floppy tracks it to perfection. And Complexity get themselves that third round on the board. A little bit topsy-turvy there, but they solidify it at the end of the day. And Forsaken get to retain those 2 rifles again. So, not the worst end result for Forsaken. But they've got to start the CT campaign off, and they've got to do it now before things get ugly. Because with how volatile the CT economy is in this point of Counter-Strike's development, things can get very ugly for you very fast. I mean, we're talking a potential 5-1, 6-1 deficit before you know it.
Yeah, not where you want to start things off here. Again, the CT side struggles. They very well could flare up again today for Forsaken. So they're looking to shake that off. But you've got some strong individuals showing up here. Floppy able to deliver some nice entries. You've had Elige and Grim, this nice powerhouse duo that you expect big things from. Finding some success as well here. A lot of emphasis towards middle in this round here. In fact, they have 3 players stacked over. No one on that A side early. So clear establish of map control here is kind of setting the tone for Forsaken, but it does leave this B side a little bit dry, as you can see, and they're going to take full advantage.
Oh, I love this call from Complexity. I think they've done their homework here, Cole, because this is something that Take Flight abused as well in their previous matchup, where Forsaken do have a heavy commitment onto that cave side, gives so much room down in lane, and Complexity and JT call the bluff instantaneously. Floppy spams through, takes Cxzi down on that re-aggression to potentially retake that bomb site, and Forsaken are headed for the hills. Great round out of the gates on that first buy round for Complexity.
Yeah, you got to understand what sort of weaknesses are going to come through here. when we talk about valuable map control, and you know, mid is something that a lot of teams are gonna just throw all of their resources at, right? And
Yeah.
it does flare up as a bit of a problem. Usually it actually flares up more so when it comes to the A side, right? That's where a lot of teams are just gonna like off spawn, throw an A execute into, but actually Cxzi able to abuse the B side of the map there with all the cave presence that was tossed in from Forsaken. And like you said, you got to come through with some decent reads there. Maybe watching a little bit of that ancient game yesterday, seeing what exactly Take Flight were able to do up against this team. Take Flight, I believe, also playing with a stand-in yesterday, as Kojo is over there representing USA in Romania right now for big tournament. So I actually don't know what it's called, but it's pretty cool.
IESF World Championship.
Yeah, got a whole bunch of countries lined up there. So
Yeah.
Kojomo, the pride of NA.
Big timer for North America.
Of course.
But back into the action. Cxzi and Forsaken. Back in a buy round situation, saving all those rifles does allow for another bite at the cherry. But as we spoke about with how valuable the CT AWP was on Nuke from Wiz, that's not available this time around.
Ooh. That's on the fly right there from Elige, and he will start things off in a fury. In fact, he wants a little bit more here. JBA, multiple mullies that he has to traverse as well. And HG's now to make the matters even worse. So Elige has just tucked himself into such deep positioning that if you were Cxzi, you'd almost be a fool not to utilize. Ooh, Floppy taking a lot of damage here, but Elige, I mean, they're not really capitalizing on his position just yet. They haven't moved in until it's a little bit too late there. As you can see, Infinite has already transitioned.
He's gotten the information, but
Ooh.
how does he really get out of this? I mean, there he can finally retreat into CT Temple, but how do you break back in?
Deeper ground being taken by Elige, although he maybe overstays his welcome right there and goes down for it. hallzerk next at bat, but there's so much presence here. Wiz will drop to the rifle of hallzerk, who wants a whole lot more. Eventually the flash will come through, but it's just a couple seconds too late. They've already lost all their resources here, and Floppy will dispatch of JBA as well here. So Stan is left to his own devices and left to save here, as he doesn't want to try for the retake. Cxzi, with a little bit of fire in them, will take a fifth.
And again, I mean, Forsaken are so adamant in showing that cave pressure. They don't get anything from it. They can't re-aggress into lane. They can't re-aggress into mid, try to get a backstab. Cxzi are just so privy to this, and they completely avoid where these resources are being put in by the CTs, that they're getting free donut pressure. And Elige, I mean, it definitely helps that Elige just charges his way out middle and gets that free donut kill. But I mean, this is the sharpshooting that we were expecting from Cxzi throughout this series. And sadly, Forsaken just can't keep up with this tempo.
Yeah, Forsaken struggling a little bit there. I mean, you can see why you want to send so much resources towards that middle side, because if you don't have the proper resistance, if you don't have the proper utility to actually force plays like that from Elige back, it's going to be really difficult to like actually punish that, even when you have to dive through multiple smokes. First of all, Elige is going to be the type of player that can get the job done on those fiery entries alongside players like Grim. But second of all, it's just difficult for any player to deal up against that. So that's the sort of sacrifice that Forsaken have to decide pretty much right here and right now as to whether or not they want to take that control consistently or give it over and try to play it later in the round. And that's something a lot of teams struggle with on this map.
This time around, it's just going to be JBA. Stanislaw will avert his attention to a different part of the map, but more importantly, the man advantage finally given to Forsaken. It's been rare this CT half, but that hard hitter entry of Elige is gone now. So potential mid presence being given over, and Cxzi can kind of have to set their sights on elsewhere of the map. They're gonna target JBA and Cave this time, but when they have a chance to actually bounce back with this Cave presence, Stanislaw is left, and they have to just give away this present. They can't actually activate with the double presence, but instead they're gonna try to flash in JBA, completely
Oh.
blind, but Floppy with that anti-positioning against an even man situation, and Complexity are right back in a winning position.
At the very least, though, that little late play has set a bit of hesitation, and alongside the smoke here from Stanislav that's playing in between it. JT gonna get surprised by it, and another one from Stan.
Ooh.
Playing in and out of the smoke, being a bit of a hero for his team right now in this tough position. As the site eventually claimed, hallzerk will ensure another kill before punching in the digits. Smoke spam could come through here from Wiz, but that's even going to be a trial here. As hallzerk, another one out of his AWP. Grim, it's tough to anticipate this close range angle, and he spotted the barrel there through the smoke. Stan now left again. Last man standing in a 1v2, but this time he's too tucked in. He's still going to give it a try here. Has a smoke to toss down towards ramp. That's going to nullify both players' positions here, but they're just going to give it here. Not going to wait, and yeah, Grim still has vision on the bomb. Smoke not perfectly tossed on in. It's going to make his job very difficult. Stan trying to play around it, but a quick headshot out of his A1S. A little flank coming through with the P250. He went for the full stick, went for the Hail Mary, but it doesn't work out.
You gotta admire the heroics there from Stanislav, playing within those smokes, trying to give a man advantage before the bomb goes down. But the heroics from hallzerk on the other end of the server, just an absolute rock behind default there with that AWP, getting so many important frags, navigating himself back as soon as that smoke drops in front of lane, moving his way back to cave, and just so important. But Complexity find a way to get themselves a 6th snap the money yet again for Forsaken.
Ooh.
But hey, maybe that A main aggression might work out for them just yet. 2-man advantage. Can they hold on now, Forsaken?
It's a little bit of information given over that there's multiple members over towards that A side early, but this re-aggression could be costly. It is. Infinite. He was the one with low HP, so a little bit more ideal that he goes down and Cxzi stands right behind him. hallzerk wants more. He's going to continue to aggress here. The Molly's going to ensure a little bit more ground, and hallzerk just entering with the AWP right there is going to find so much output. He's taken that A site by storm, something that Elige, or rather Grim and Floppy, weren't able to do here. But JT will take care of the pistol close range, and it's just JBA and Stanislaw. They're probably going to be right in on their positions just to quickly move in towards A.
Oh, they are just picking apart the defense from Forsaken. These slight pauses have just been gifted some frags over to hallzerk. I mean, credit to him. He's searching for these frags all on his own. He doesn't even have trade potential behind him. These are solo missions that he's coming out on top of. And now, sure, you're going to pick up a rifle on JBA's hands. But Stanislaw cannot trade that frag out. And there is no retake potential to speak of here in round number 8. Stanislaw will hold on to this rifle, but you're running out of rounds here. That CT economic woe that I was talking about at the very beginning of this half is rearing its ugly head. 7-1 lead now for Complexity. Essentially, I mean, they're happy with their haul. They should be happy with 7 rounds at this point.
100%. I mean, there's so much more potential here to continue their success as well.
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of opportunities to string things together. But yeah, I mean, that's just a lot of confidence. You said at the start of this game here, that T-side opping is no easy task, but hallzerk on a bit of a solo mission there towards Donut is going to find multiple members, devastating that 5v3 that Forsaken once had. And this is that off-rip A call that I was talking about a little bit earlier. They're just going to take full space here, and they're going to meet no resistance. In fact, they're going to catch Cxzi off guard.
Oh, and Infinite was so willing to actually fight for some mid control. And that one round where he decides to switch things up leaves Cxzi to essentially die on an island, and Donut goes down for free, and that's that conditioning. You're exactly right. 8-1 now for Complexity as this lead just continues to balloon. I talked about the real difficulty that Forsaken were going to have on Ancient. And you can very clearly see the class that Complexity are at on Ancient here.
Yeah, with a new team, you do kind of understand the worries that this roster are showing, right? You know, obviously have some time to build over on Nuke that looked much better since their last showing versus Wildcard on that map, but Doesn't seem like they do have that same depth just yet on Ancient. And it's costing them quite a bit here, at least in this first half. There's time to still start to recover here. And again, their T sides do look a little bit more promising than their defense. I think a lot of teams actually considering the T side a little easier sometimes as well. But
Yeah, and we've definitely seen that from Forsaken on that T side, and we've also seen the development of Ancient becoming just a much more T-sided map, because Ancient CT protocols are just very difficult. You really have to risk a lot out the gates, out of spawn, to get specific parts of the map, and if those risks fail, you have some severe holes in your defense because of that. And you can very clearly see that Forsaken have not played enough officials on this map to know what the potential holes are and how to stop them up if they're aware of them.
yeah, I mean, it was
And
just
it's
clearly put
costing them.
on display in last round for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Struggles
And I
on
don't
that
know,
A side.
I don't know if you've played Pugs on Ancient, viewers at home, but it's very easy to play T-side on this map because you can just storm your way into specific parts of the bomb site, like Elite is here on the Wiz. But
Ooh.
on that CT side, that's where things get exposed. You look a little bit all over the place because you really have to pick your battles, and you've got to pick them correctly.
Yeah, 100%. And right now, I think Cxzi doing a great job of finding the weak points here every last round. I mean, they haven't really made a wrong read other than maybe the 5v3 that Forsaken were able to start off in, where they just met the Rifle and the Deagle head on. That was the only big concern, and hallzerk bailed them out of that. So outside of that one round, I feel like Cxzi have been able to throw some good conditioning, find the big advantages, haven't looked back from that point, really. And again, he's going to continue to test middle. This guy's been much more fiery on this map here. It's the Liege that I like to see, the Liege with a little bit of resources to back him up here when it comes to that mid aggression. And he's nailing it quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Cxzi that we're looking for. That well-oiled machine with that extra bit of firepower coming from Elige. This time it's just going to be a contact play out of mid. I love this call from JT. Just pump the brakes and then let your individuals do the work. Cxzi has given away a lot of space here on Donut, and it's just him alone. Jim takes that first contact, and it's only a 1-for-1. Now Infinite knows what's coming, and he's got to speed things up to get back onto the bomb site. And now Wiz has come back over to this A site, but look at the bomb. With a minute left on the clock, the bomb's still all the way back in B.
That's where the end goal is going to lie in. They've just taken cave control to back this up. I mean, even further rotating off of this is JBA, feeling like he needs to cheat his rotation over towards mid, maybe help out Wiz a little bit, who's just taking contact, but he's going to be pretty much out of this round unless he can cut off a bomb plant transitioning, but he needs to just go further and further into this round. And already hallzerk starting to punch in the numbers here. Going to lock those digits in. You have a very long flank formulating from Infinite that they're going to have to wait for, and actually just a singular kit in JBA.
Oh,
What?
that is just unreal awareness from Elige. From downtown, long-range AK burst onto Infinite, and that just invalidates the potential of a retake here. hallzerk rips the counterpart of Wiz clean off, and it's just JBA in a 1v2. I don't know how you navigate this one. You just don't. Double digits now on the offense for Cxzi, and it's just looking squeaky clean here.
Yeah, I mean, as we said, it was definitely a fun map here last time around. You get to see a little bit of that impact. Warden back in the server, which is always welcomed, but from this point, it does feel like riding that high has quickly fallen, and now they're having to manage up against what is peak Cxzi here with some really good calling from JT, some off-spawn aggression that you like to see, and Elige backing up those entries to make it all the more easier. hallzerk bringing in some entries as well with the AWP. Just makes JT's job all the more easy as well.
Okay, flash to get the B main player out, but it's a car crash in the B lane. Cxzi does get the aggression here on this A side as well, but the information should be gained that so much personnel were on that banana side of the map that they could just take a pause, take a breather, let things reset, let it settle. Sure, you give away a couple of rifles, but you have the superior weaponry at this point, and you should be able to trade your way into the bomb site if you just give it a little bit of time.
Absolutely. Just group up and coordinate your attack here. But Stan has picked up an AK, which could be a bit of a problem, and they are doubled up perfectly to deal with hallzerk. Question is he going to be quick here? Is he going to cover all angles? He will.
Ooh.
Absolutely nails the shot into Wiz. Anticipating more. The Stan will walk right into his crosshair. And hallzerk again going to do some more heavy lifting. When these anti-ecos go a little bit south, he has been there to bail them out.
Yeah, and I mean, we've always talked about the inconsistencies of hallzerk for this roster, but when he stands tall, Cxzi looks unshakable. They look like a team that cannot be phased, essentially. And hallzerk is showing why Cxzi are to be feared within North America, why they're considered favorites within this qualifier. And JBA is going to try his hand at somewhat of a clutch, but it doesn't matter. Cxzi have just run away with this half, 11-1 now on that offense. And I think it's expected to be said that 4 rounds is an absolute requirement if we want to talk about a competitive third map here. And that's just saying for a fighting chance. I mean, even at this stage, it paints quite a bleak picture.
Yeah, 100%. hallzerk, he's going out for this mid-aggression again. This time they do give over some great resources here. And even on the other side of the map here, JBA and Stan going to coordinate their efforts. The protocol here now is to start to retake that mid-control. By a molly, they're going to be flushed into the open there. Grim will find at least one reply. Getting that utility out, though, a little bit too eager to toss that down range. And that's just going to land right where he lies. Cxzi going to retreat. Doesn't want to deal with Grim. We'll be able to dispatch of him with ease. And as you said, maybe we can get a more competitive affair if they get those 4 rounds.
Oh.
Ooh.
A bit of a peekaboo moment there for Cxzi, but manages to navigate it nonetheless. Second round for Forsaken. It's a bit labor, but it does come out just from all-out aggression. Aggression in lane, aggression in mid, and it overwhelms Cxzi. The headshots finally start to go in the favor of the CTs, and they finally lock themselves a second round. Scraps at the tail end here for Forsaken, but it's something at the very least.
Get some sort of foothold in this half here. Cxzi not feeling too much pressure, though, as you can easily reply. And again, they're going to try to do so with that fast B play here. Caught by great utility. Stan is blinded up, but still managed to make some magic happen. A nice 2-piece out of Stan, who's been showing up big time. But Floppy is such a surprise, as he already stands in the long side here, punching in those digits. hallzerk has an angle over towards Cave as well, but JT delaying the bomb play just a little bit, as all the rotations do stand pretty close by. These flashes just chaining on in is not making their job any easier, though. And hallzerk is posted and waiting for aggression here. Has multiple fights on different fronts here. Infinite will send one packing there. We'll actually win that dual blind onto Floppy. And hallzerk's getting a little fast and loose. Doesn't expect that deep cave position. It's a false sense of security, as JBA has to dismount to get into this retake here. But Infinite is still scaling forward with the AWP. Another kill out of his op here. hallzerk's blinded up and gets surprised. It's a bit of a collapse in the post plant, and a great retake effort coming through from Infinite and JBA.
I mean, Stanislaw getting those 2 kills on the actual site hit, and then managing to stay alive, showing so much cave presence, allowing for Infinite to come down from CT spawn. And sure, those shots are really hard to hit, but at least he's been given at least some room to work with. And it works out for Forsaken in the end. These are some tough rounds to actually lock down, and Forsaken are fighting tooth and nail. We've seen some incredible comebacks throughout the open qualifier for Forsaken to actually get to this point. Can they do it again against the North America's best? What a story it would be if they could manage it.
Those sort of rounds, they have to inspire some confidence in you. Stan has stepped up to the plate, called the answer there in that last round alongside some opping from Infinite, which is Not the sort of output you'd expect from them, but delivering on the secondaries. Exactly what they need here. To get some sort of foundation on the CT side. We'll see if they can get one more. That money was built up to full effect here, but that's infinite with the Oppakin. That's such a sharp shot, but the repeak is ambitious and punished.
All really on to Cxzi here to come up big, but he takes down that A main pressure. And now Wiz can prime and ready himself from the CT spawn. This is just a difficult situation to dig themselves out of, and there's the nade frag from Cxzi. Just JT left up in this, and you gotta tip your hat to the performance there from Cxzi. Proactive as ever to bound his way into A main and to essentially lock in a 4th round for Forsaken. I have to say that if there was any talk of a comeback and they needed those 4 rounds, they've got those 4 rounds. But we're going to take a little bit of a halftime break as we come back for that second final half of this series to see who advances in this IEM Sydney qualifier. We'll see you in a bit.
Last half of this best of 3 to see who's going to be moving forward. The IEM Sydney closed qualifiers for North America. Cxzi, they have a strong grasp on things. We did see a little bit of a late resurgence here from Forsaken that could take them a long way here.
If there's one thing that we've noticed throughout this series, it's the grit and tenacity from Forsaken to grind back no matter what the deficit is. But man, what a task it would be to do it on the T side of Ancient, no less. Down 4-11. So much hangs in the balance with this pistol round, and Wiz starts off the proceedings with a great little entry onto JT.
And I mean, just targeting the B side in general is exactly what they need. You actually look at the rotations here that the CT side would have on offer as soon as they toss this execute in. It's literally just floppy. I mean, as you said before here, they've trusted a lot in his capabilities. But he is only one man versus 5 that chase him down and instantly dispatched of. These P250s sing loud and proud here. Cxzi tries to take more ground, but I mean, it's a post plant here. It's a 5v3. I feel like if you're Cole, you're, you know, believe it or not, just saving here, yeah.
And it's totally fine. 3 sets of Kevlar, 2 dualies, 2 sets of dualies, I should say. But yeah, you give away a 5th round, but as we saw previously, the capabilities of this Complexity roster to just have 2 rifles in play is huge, and saving over this Kevlar could be very beneficial for them in the long run. We see the threat that they can provide in those force buy scenarios.
Yeah, they always do facilitate some decent purchases here. You actually do look in 3 FAMASs
3 of them
that they will bring to the table. So that's pretty impressive. That's actually going to be a pretty deadly purchase here. We'll see if that can get the job done.
There are concessions, right? There is just no utility. Elige with a smoke molly, and they're just going to use it for initial mid control. That's about it.
On that T side, you should have a good identification that there's going to be a lack of utility on this force buy. Doesn't matter. So there's Cxzi winning out, and that dual wild spray through the smoke. 35 bullets in that Galil, and one's good onto the head of Elige. So there's 2 FAMASs down, 1 more to go. But it's only JP here with a Deagle, no armor. And that is dispatched of. And a scary start to this second half here from Forsaken. You said it. This team has a whole lot of great complexity. I've already figured that out, not only in the series, but watching this roster all the way through the open qualifiers. And their path to get to this point. To prove themselves up against North America. Some of the best, you know, teams that we still have on offer. They are making it happen.
5 rounds the difference now. Should be able to navigate this next one and nab themselves a 7th. But as you said, never say die, are Forsaken. And perhaps they can make it work, man. I mean, they do have just quite a bit of firepower to potentially go over the edge against Complexity here on this offense. But it's all about that consistency. How many times can Infinite get that opener? How many times is Cxzi, you know, gonna get that mid control for free?
%. Yeah, I mean, obviously that sort of wild spray doesn't happen all that often. But if it can at least start to close that distance and make sure that they can, you know, get in Complexity's face before Complexity start to run away with things and get in a closed position. I mean, just to compare this to Vertigo, where Complexity won that pistol, they were up like 14-6 or something like that before the comeback effort started to come through, and Forsaken actually really made them work for that closure. Well, this time around, they might get off to that, you know, 7-11 scoreline, which is a lot more comfortable than just a couple of rounds from conceding here. This is some great re-aggression, but Stan is able to vacate the area just in time. And in the meantime, they're just going to take that fight over towards the A side of the map here. Should be able to dispatch of what Complexity have on offer. It's a couple of kills with the pistol, though, that can make this a bit interesting. Wait, no one's covering the plant?
Oh, no. I mean, the plant was wide open there for Infinite. A huge hole in the offense right there, but they find a way to get through it, and I think we should be fine now. Leash completely unaware of Stanislaw flanking all the way from cave through CT spawn. But JT will hold on to this Galil, you'd like to think, alongside Floppy's MP9. So, a world where that did fall apart, but Forsaken find their 7th nonetheless.
Scrappy. Scrappy stuff right there, because, you know, bomb goes down right there. It gets dropped by hallzerk's aggression. I mean, obviously, I don't think you would ever anticipate that sort of bomb plant coming through.
Yeah.
From Forsaken, you're probably expecting them to plant safe. And so hallzerk, he just continues to walk up to try and get that element of surprise, but And yeah, that was incredibly scary for Forsaken. If they were called off guard right there. All good, though. This time, as we've said here, off-rip A-call for a lot of these individuals here. But really, not a lot of threat from middle. There's no utility, there's no red room smoke or anything like that, so Cxzi have an easier job of actually maintaining this ground.
And some faster rotations if they so need it. You have Elige and Grim both patrolling through mid, and hallzerk alone on this A site. Not your traditional setup from Cxzi, and it could spell disaster as Forsaken have a potential route here onto this A bomb site.
Do have that ground here. I mean, it's bomb kind of in front of the pack here, which is most interesting. And, you know, value out of this mid play from Cxzi is they don't have to use a lot of utility to get this ground. The B-Lurk finds success in JBA. Finds an opening kill. Cxzi finds one towards mid. Grim sideline now as well. And we're in a 5v3. Panic setting in for Cxzi here. As all the re-aggression continues here, hallzerk looking to claim that space pack. Knowing that there's a gap still and in transition. Wiz catches. This is just textbook. It's incredible as Cxzi finds another. Forsaken are now awaking on this map here.
I mean, that you saw that little bit of hesitation as soon as JBA gets that frag. You see the arrows on the minimap turn towards that B bomb site. But as soon as Cxzi primes his kill in Donut, the pin drops and it's too late for Cxzi to regress back into the A bomb site. Wiz is primed and ready into the back of CT Temple, and Forsaken locked themselves that 8th round. Clinical stuff there from Stanislaw. Love that call. And now just 3 rounds the difference. Half buy on the cards for Cxzi. And oh boy, oh boy.
Oh man, cannot believe that this has come this close. Up 11-1 here. Cxzi. I've let it slip to now just a 3-round ball game here. This is just wild scenes. Forsaken again showing that grit, showing that ability to get into any game here. One-way smoke with Elige. There is no escape. JBA, another opening pick from him. Back-to-back rounds now, kicking things off with the opener. Last time it was onto that B-Lurk. Devastating the start of that round for Cxzi. As it was only one man that had to deal with it, and Cxzi has taken that opening all the way to aggression and CT spawn. I mean, you just nearly guarantee this round now with his positioning. There's almost no way you can fumble this.
Surely not. I mean, Cxzi will have 2 backs turned here guaranteed. And there's one. I think he's thinking about potentially searching for more
For his teammates to
information.
get closer right now.
That's also definitely a boon. But are they aware of that aggression on that second player? There it is. Just looking for the head now. And wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Into that A bomb site. And Forsaken get themselves a 9th.
That's just beautiful, man. Letting his teammates get closer and closer there off the back of that read. And now, I mean, as we've mentioned here all the way through, talking about kind of a newer formulation of a roster here, we're expecting all these holes to be in Forsaken side of things, but, you know, that sort of round, that sort of sneaky play from Cxzi, it just reminds you of how exactly they closed out Nuke, where there are some blind spots on the CT defense that you just cannot manage to win if you have them. So Floppy gonna go down with a little bit of a fight, but nothing too crazy there, as it's a 1-for-1 trade. Dropping the pistol here, and again that distance closes even more here as we are into another gun round. This is 5 in a row in the second half, but I mean realistically now it's 8 in a row here for Forsaken.
Yeah. What a run from Forsaken here. An attack pause from Cxzi. They understand the gravitas of this round. Should they win it, they quell that momentum very quickly, and they put themselves in quite a favorable position. Should they lose it, however, the gap slips down to 1, the momentum continues, and we've spoken about how dangerous North American rosters can get when they have the momentum behind them. And we're looking at a potential runaway from Forsaken. So a lot hinges on this round. A lot of these ideas, these risks that Cxzi are going to take that they've talked about in this tack pause are essentially riding on the confidence of Complexity for the rest of this map.
It's a bit of a clinic from Cxzi as well.
Oh,
That's the
man, what
confidence that
happens
you're
when
really
happens.
scared of. Is that Cxzi can, you know, take these duels and best them with ease. That's been happening right now towards middle quite a bit. We've seen the wild spams, we've seen the wild fights, we've seen a lot of entries come through off this. Great flashes, but JBA dispatches of both of them with no problem. Swipes that aggression aside. See you later, Floppy. See you later, Grim. It's a 5v3 at the start of this round, and Forsaken have a minute and 30 to decide what they want to do.
They're doing it the hard way, Cole. JBA with a beautiful double punishes that cave aggression, and that's that aggression, those risks that I was talking about from Complexity. It's a risk, and it doesn't pay off. They put the chips down on the table, and Forsaken calls the bluff, and there's Stanislaw with the whip of a mouse there, and now Cxzi winning out duels on his own right. Wiz chimes in as well. Double digits for Forsaken, and it's a one-round game. That momentum train, it's chugging along.
This is a collapse right now coming through from Complexity. There's no question about it right now. They just cannot find success there. I mean, even you see it in the desperation of hallzerk actually even trying for that round. It shows signs of how desperate this CT side is to just stop the train right now for Forsaken. But JBA stepping up. I mean, again, these are the last two players you want to really elevate their game, is Cxzi and JBA. JBA not even given resources in that last round. He just nails the CT aggression right there to the wall. Makes it look easy. And the young gun continuing to impress this series here. Stan gonna try and lead the pack here with some B-side aggression. Does catch a little bit of the deagle flak there. It might be a little bit concerning as they are still standing and pretty healthy here. JT continuing to take the fight. Eventually Forsaken are gonna cut their losses and back off of that.
Oh, slight pause here. But no aggression from Complexity. You can start to tell that they're feeling the pressure at this point. All of those ideas quickly running dry. Also pre-firing the boost. I mean, with how nervous he's getting, it's just terrifying.
It just makes you sink in your stomach when that's the sort of kills you're kind of hoping for, right?
Yeah.
Boost. There's no boost coming. Don't worry. At the very least, they still do have a lot of presence here on this B side here, and they've just now tossed in. What is that? Yeah, smoke over towards that cave side. Very valuable late utility here. JT trying to lead the pack, though. Dismantled. Wiz with a quick trade. There's a couple of kills in return, but it's still the overwhelming firepower here that comes through. I mean, the AK is going to just reign supreme there in the head-to-head versus side of Complexity. We are essentially all tied up unless Grim and the Liege can make some magic happen here. Flank isn't being covered, though. So maybe there's a world where Liege could make something happen. I think this angle being covered, though. Wiz actually is going to take the fight. Did he spot him, though, is a big question. I almost guarantee no now. A little pause here from a Liege, but you don't have a kit, so it's just going to be exits. I mean, that's what they're going for, is exits. They're not trying in this round. Hoping that they can maybe find some players leave the site. Bomb damage just quite a bit. AKs could be a nice upgrade. Grim at least going to grab that kill there, but not much else there. I mean, Wiz will definitely go down in this position, so get that up over to JB8, and everyone falls.
At this point for Forsaken, money is not a problem. 12k on JBA, 14k on Cxzi. Complexity, they are in such a terrible situation at this point. You have to win now 3 to 4 to 5 back-to-back buy rounds. Because even if the coffers run dry for Forsaken, they will run out. They'll have loss bonus built up that they'll have another buy again. So I think this is just such a terrible position for Complexity to dig themselves out of.
They've lost all their steam here, man. You wouldn't have thought that those 3 rounds would have cost them a lot towards the tail end of that half, but I think they've just completely elevated the side of Forsaken, and whatever was said in that halftime break has just continued the train. The absolute beast of Forsaken in this series, and It is all tied up somehow. Cxzi have had no foothold on this defense at all. Not a single round put up just yet.
But this time around, they finally have some control to speak of. Mid has been given over. And sure, they try to flash things back in, but Grim is stoic. Still holding on to, I guess, a little bit of outside cave control as well. But it's just this A set piece that's going to be called on over. It's only JT on this side of the bomb site, and they might just go straight through this smoke here, Cole.
I mean, JT has to get a multi-frag. There's no rotation close by. Now, Donut is smoked off, but there's one quick kill on the JBA. But all the rotation, the cavalry cut down by Infinite there. As he gets instantly dispatched of. Good news, though. Grim fast on the flank here is going to fire early onto Wiz. He misses the kill, but whips out the sidearm. Good for the frag eventually. Still gets the job done. Almost fumbled there as the retake coming through quickly and towards CT spawn. Dispatched of by Stanislaw. hallzerk desperate for a trade as Grim's next to strike here. But there's some late aggression there. Infinite not going to press the issue onto hallzerk. Instead, just going to take care of Grim first. Last alive is hallzerk, who's landing some brilliant tags. But it's just not going to be enough. Time's running low. He's going to run away. And Forsaken have claimed the lead.
Oh, you can start to see the jitters on these Cxzi players. Who would have thought that this Forsaken squad could just rattle Cxzi like this? Grim just flubbing his lines there. And hallzerk just can't convert any frags. Tags, but no bags. And Forsaken, Cole, they take the lead. Down 11-4. I mean, let's not beat around the bush here. This is an insane comeback for Forsaken, right? You have the near comeback on their map pick of Vertigo, and then you have Warden having to step in for them on that first half of Nuke, putting on a clinic, and then converting that, and then having just an insane comeback on this T side. 11-4 down on the T side of Ancient to pull it back to 12 rounds. I mean, that alone is just insane.
It's absolutely wild right now. I honestly can't believe it. When we were up 0-3 and I saw Warden was in the server on Nuke, I really did think that that was over. I thought the game was going to be very quick. I thought that was going to cost him the half there. I mean, obviously, again, Warden, I don't know what his experience is in just playing the game here. I don't know how many hours he's actually actively played CS. If he's been hopping in the pugs or anything like that, right? But I doubt it's frequent. There's no question about that. And that was an 11-4 half on the CT side here. Mid control being taken quickly. Cxzi deals with the op. They're knocking down all the pins. Stan comes through fast with the trades. And Forsaken, it almost looks certain that we're getting 13. And they're going to just continue their rampage here on Ancient.
It looks as though the nameplates are switched, right? It looks as though with the amount of the timidness that Cxzi are playing with, that you think that they're the Forsaken players, but your eyes are not deceiving you. This is the new roster on the block. Here to take names.
From the open qualifier to having to take down Cxzi in a reverse sweep if they can make this happen. Down 11-1 on this map as well to make matters even worse here. That's why we're so convinced that, I mean, this train is unstoppable right now from Forsaken. Is that's the scoreline that we walked in very early in this first half with. And this is a different story, a different team in the second half. They have come to play. And in this retake here, again, you're dealing with no kit. You got no smokes. No HP on JT. It's a tap for the bomb. It's just more attempts at economic damage that's not going to really impact too much on Forsaken side of things. And for that kill claim, JBA, only one that needs to really bail out here early. 13 claimed, and it is looking more and more likely that Cxzi could start things off in the lower bracket here for IEM Sydney.
Not a single CT round. I mean, I can't even call silver linings for what works in terms of Cxzi's CT side. There is nothing that has worked. I mean, they've tried for mid aggression, they've tried for cave aggression, you even had some lane aggression mixed in on the B side of the map, but nothing has worked. You have players like JBA, players like Cxzi that are punishing this aggression. And it's not even like the protocols are bad from Cxzi. I mean, Forsaken's individuals are just on another level, and now they're just gonna call an on-call out of spawn A hit. This is just immaculate.
At least they do have Grim there ready, alongside the op close by of hallzerk, but Infinite, another entry from him comes through. No output out of the op. They still have to figure out Grim in the one-way smoke, but it's just a one-for-one trade. That's all that's required here. Now, good news is they do have some rapid rotations. Elige and JT stepping up in the feed and dropping bomb. So much value right there, but you still have Wiz in the late round with the AWP. You still have Stan, who's been playing a hell of a game so far, and both of them strike in unison. Walking right into the crosshairs, it's just JT left standing, and it's going to be anticipated there, but not taken care of. Stan will go down, holding that AWP. Smoke is going to allow them to scale into sight. Oh. For a second, maybe Wiz was going to pop the shot off right there, but instead JT might give him the shot he's hoping for there. Will walk right into the crosshair, but Wiz cannot collect just yet. Still has to fight further. And the chase is in. JT taking the close angle, wide swing, but Wiz is waiting for it. And the second time is a charm, as he will shut down JT's clutch.
That was the opportunity. I think that is the map right there. That 1v1, the door was just left slightly ajar for Cxzi to slam their way back into that best of 3. But Wiz, it's a little messy on that first shot, but he converts eventually. And Forsaken, 14 rounds now, knocking on the door of an upper bracket final. Who would have thought, Cole? Who would have thought? Finally, a 5v4 to speak of for Cxzi. Elige pulls one back.
And it's just straight to the smoke, right? But it's such a relief now, especially when it comes on to Cxzi down early. We'll see if that lingers, man. They are playing with fire. As the other side of things, Infinite is looking to equalize. And you know how deadly he can be. This is some good protocols, though. Cxzi starting to feel like they have nothing to lose right now because nothing's going right. Are going to start to re-aggress rapidly towards middle. Great utility to buy time there. Still, this pressure going to continue over towards that A side there. Damage done on the Infinite, avoiding the spam, but see them peek their heads up, and Elige, he gets sent packing instantly, and that 4v5 is no longer there.
That seems like one of those plays that you make out of desperation. You've gotten so much map control with all of mid, and you're well aware that there is lane presence from Forsaken. That just feels like trying to be the hero at that point is Elige. And it doesn't work out, and now it's hallzerk's turn to re-aggress. Waiting are these Forsaken members, but a nade out for, I think, Infinite there, but JBA still capitalizes, and look at the bomb, look at the time, and look at the space that Forsaken have.
It's a one-way street to this A side. That's essentially what we're seeing right now for Forsaken. And the good news is for Cxzi is that they have two defenders here close by. Grim over in towards Temple, not fully committed to the angle. And neither is likes of JT here. There's that utility tossed in early. And it's a tough shot from Wiz. He won't be able to collect. JT's finding more success. There's just no time to win this round. They will find all the kills outside of Floppy, but all he has to do is close out this clutch by staying alive. We're going to see Cxzi not give over series point just yet. They're not ready to concede that.
Oh, man. And to think that is the round that Cxzi wins by not shooting and to try to close it out in the 1v1. And it's really Forsaken running out of time there. Ah, just a brutal situation there for Forsaken, but no harm, no foul. I mean, the amount of damage that they were able to do there, if they are able to convert this round, that's the backbreaker. That's the series right there in the palm of their hands. So look at this. Minute 30 left on the clock. 2 smokes left up in this. It's got to be the aggression in the A main. And Infinite punishes one. And there's Cxzi to chime in on the other end as well. 5v3 for Forsaken to let Cxzi stew in their juices. What a prime opportunity here for the upstart mixed roster.
5v3, man. I mean, it's been perfectly read into. All the CT aggression here has been punished every step of the way. But maybe finally something can work out. But head on the swivel there. Infinite going to respond with 2 kills. The round is done. In a breath, it's finished by JBA and Infinite, who are going to put themselves on series point. We're once down 1-11, are now standing 15-12.
No money. No money in the bank for Cxzi. It's a deagle for JT. And we're talking pots and pans to defend the honor of Cxzi. here in this opening round of the IEM Sydney NA close quals. It is just, I mean, your eyes are not deceiving you, folks. This is really happening.
Just a collapse right now coming through. That's the only way to put it. Cxzi
Absolutely.
have fallen apart in this match, and Forsaken have taken every advantage here. It's ways with another opener.
Man.
Everyone is really stepping up here. Stan with the calling. His job made easier by all of his individuals stepping up here big time, but he has been phenomenal in the calling as well. There's just no missing pieces for Forsaken, and they are a round away. Had to use Warden in the last map for a whole half. And they are going to come back into the second, or third map rather, ready to close things out with only 4 more kills.
Just a standstill on Ancient here. And it's into this B set piece. 2 players available, and here comes hallzerk as well. The read is there, but they haven't been able to get the conversions. Cxzi with the entry. And now JBA to chime in as well. It's just hallzerk on this site. And he goes down as well. It's just Grim. 1v4 to keep Cxzi alive, but I don't think it's happening. I think it's Forsaken chiming in when they're most needed. What a comeback. They did it in the open qualifier, and they do it here in the closed qualifier. Forsaken are not to be trifled with. They're advancing into that next round of play.
I actually just cannot believe my eyes. Again, as I said, I was calling this game when they were up 0-3 on Nuke, and they were playing with a stand-in with their coach who hasn't played